Days turns into weeks, weeks turns into months, and months turn into years after when listener, now calling shots, he made the illegal thing in the illegal manner. He, in a word, he chose enjoyable. Ever since he ended taking over every single drone that worked and feared the Elliot's now all be the ones that the Elliot's fear. After when Lister did some modifications to all of them, the Elliot's won't even think about daring to mess with him or any other drones whatsoever. Though some of the Elliots did end up making sure, aka Louise and James, had to keep a mask up to make it look like nothing happened. Then they're taking orders of a worker drone, and the worker drones are the ones calling the shots. And speaking of calling the shots, Listener and a few other drones were actually making sure that all the drones that Louise and and Mr. Elliot himself killed off were actually fixing up thanks to Cyn's ability. All of them end up being scared that Cyn is like that thing, but end up growing to use because afterwards she did save them, and since then been in debt to her as well. Same with Listener. And speaking of Listener, he was actually finishing up a deal with some of the other drones that they end up working with, as he ended up putting out a cigarette. So that's my deal. I end up doing special reinforced surgery for you guys, and in exchange you give me anything like weapons and stuff and any other information from other workplace where you live and a few others. Alright, you got yourself a deal. Both of them ended up shaking it, and then Listener came back home where he was who was warmly greeted by the Jones. Hello, Listener. How was the deal? Tiring? But let's just say we're gonna end up having a few more eyes and ears furthermore outside of this manor. Yes, sirree. Listener thought, why stop at the Elliots, where he can end up expanding it more? Similar to an underground factory and stuff, it was an underground spying like, where he and a few drones who were tired of the beating, the massive death, watching every single drone they loved, all they cared, die in front of them. And for that, Listener made a deal. To whom is tired of the back breaking labor, the excuse of nothing but little sympathy, and being treated just a machine just because they are, when they're getting a deal by a Listener, who in exchange did special treatments for them. And he already signed up 13 others, counting this one, 14. He was walking down the hall as some of the worker drones ended up saluting to him. He smiled, but making sure that they treat each other respectfully, especially him. He then ended up having to have a little word with Louise and James, who was waiting for him in his office. It used to be James, but now his. James and Louise sat down as two bodyguard, or let's just say Listener's own bodyguard, and making sure they don't try running away. As Listener looked at them, I told you trying to work behind my back won't get you anywhere, Listener said as he tossed a file of, let's just say, plans that Louise and James thought of, but was found because of him. It was a mistake. It was shut up. Louise was shut up when she was slapped across the face by him. And James. James ended up stepping up. You thought it would be funny to end up getting some full strings porn, is it? No. Good boy. He patted James' face, who flinched. I want you two out of my face before I do more than just slap. Well, mainly you, Louise. Get out. And just like that, Louise and James left, leaving listener alone. But not entirely alone, because a special someone came in. She ended up coming from the ceiling and was now face to face with her darling. Hi, listener. Listener opened his eyes to see. There's my beautiful Cinderella. Giggle. When do you ever believe that I will ever be like Cinderella? If your beauty is between a beastly, magnificent, and also your beauty on the inside and out, I'm pretty sure it's not a coincidence that you are Cinderella. Giggle. The two end up spending time as listener held on to Cyn. As he ended up looking at her, love and care, he never thought in a million years that he would end up do something big. As they end up doing their thing, later on that night, Listener and Cyn had a little dinner for themselves. They end up going to a restaurant where worker drones such as themselves are welcome, and they had a beautiful night, having a few laughs here and there. This is beautiful. Giggle. I've never been in such a fancy place like this. What? Can I not give my girlfriend the time of her life and making sure that she's treated like a proper lady? Giggle. But I am what you think you are a lady, and there's nothing changing me there. Giggle. Hee 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 hee. That night, listener knew he had everything. A beautiful girl, some power, and respect by all drones. And he's not gonna trade any of that. No siree. He's gonna keep continuing until every single human, those powerful, learns to never disrespect drones ever again.